Joining me today on the show is supervising sound editor and founder of the UK Post Sound Collective, Steve Little. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Samina. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here. How are you doing? Are you okay?
I am doing very well, thank you, yes.
Great to know. So listen, let's start with you sharing a little bit about the UK Post Sound Collective and what it is you offer.
Okay, well, I mean, just as a quick bit of background, because some of the people watching this might not have heard of sound editorial or post-production sound, we are the part of the process after the film shoot, where you've recorded all the actors on set, and then we put all the sound together to create the final soundtrack. That's not just the music. I mean, it's not the music at all. So you've got a dialogue editor, which is what I do. I clean up all the on-set sound so you can understand what's being said. You've got all the effects editors and sound designers who add the whizzy bangs and the cars and the explosions or whatever. And within the effects department, you've got Foley, you've got the BGs, which are the background atmosphere sounds. And the sound designers who basically create all these different sounds. And then you've got the music department, the composer, the music editor, all that sort of thing. And so with the UK Post Sound Collective, we all sort of looked around the industry and felt that we could have a healthier, more representative industry. We wanted more options, more opinions, more backgrounds to be represented. Basically, it's a very artistic job, and we found
I guess that when you have a more diverse pool of people to select from, I guess you have more ideas, more different worldviews, more cultural references.
Exactly.
Something.
Exactly. It's just a greater pool of experiences and backgrounds to work from. Like, take something the Steve McQueen films on last year. He would have liked a black sound crew because of the sort of the background that they could bring to it, the experiences of their family history, things they'd have heard their parents talk about, but there weren't any working at that level in the UK at the time. So it's just trying to broaden the diversity of the industry, to just enrich it, make it more exciting for the audience.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant because, like you said, I think so many different more ideas, perspectives can only contribute to a more creative output. So tell me, what prompted, so was that the main prompt to start up this collective?
Well, yes, I guess so. I think over the last sort of 5-10 years, a lot of us have realised, we look around the mix theatre, which is the end of the process when all the departments come together and we sit in front of the big mixing desk and make it all sound great. It was all just people like me. More often from the southeast, white guys, just all just quite narrow, all quite niche, and we just thought it would make a much more exciting sort of end product for the audience, obviously, and like it would be a much nicer working environment for ourselves, just much better.
Yeah, and a great job. Really, great thinking. So how many professionals do you have on board with the collective then?
So yes, in the collective we've got over 100 different professionals, and it breaks down on the website into all the different departments. You've got re-recording mixers, which is the sort of top of the tree, down to the assistants, music editors, mix technicians. I've also just today added a facilities page, which are going to list facilities who would like people to come in to have a tour, to hand the CVs in and meet all the people working there. So it's basically from all the different disciplines within post-production sound. And the idea is you get in touch with the website, you say, I want to talk to these 15 people, I like the look of them, they're all relevant to me, I want to talk to them. I'll send that request off to the professional who will say, yeah, that's fine. Then I'll put the two parties together and you arrange a 30-minute Zoom. And the idea is, it's for practical advice. So you send work in. If you want to be a sound designer and you've been messing around, you send it in to some Oscar-winning sound designers who'll go, that's great. Have you tried this? Try these plugins. And basically it's to get practical advice and general industry advice.
That's brilliant. So essentially, any youngster out there or anybody at entry level who is got an interest in working in sound in TV and film, they can have first-hand access to industry professionals to pick their brains, to get some advice, and just generally get some coaching, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, and there's no limit on how many people you can contact. You can contact all 100.
Wow.
If you put a massive list together, I don't send that whole list to all the people who might think, oh God, they're going for like 60 people or something. I ping them out individually, so nobody knows how many people you've asked to talk to. So there's literally no limit. And it's just been fantastic.
Oh no, I think that's incredible resource, and it's free. So anybody out there, if you're interested in sound, this is the place to go. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about what the website is about a little bit later on. But what I want to ask you, what I wanted to say about this, what you're offering is, you've got so many different roles on board. And I think that's brilliant because quite often, it's only those who have been to film school or perhaps had a very technical based degree in media that would understand or even know of some of these roles. I mean, many of the people I meet at entry level, no disrespect to them, and it's not their fault, but they just don't seem to have that knowledge. It's a knowledge gap.
It is very much so. Like, I myself had no idea this industry existed till I was 20. I was in the middle of my degree and we did a syllabus on it, and I just thought, oh my, that is just
what
amazing.
Was your degree, out of interest?
It was music technology. So anyone who kind of finds out about the job, they'll have either done, well, it's pretty much something like music technology. A straight music degree probably wouldn't do this sort of thing. So to even find out that this job exists, at the minute you have to go to university. And I just think there could be the world's best sound designers out there who just never realize that they are that person, that they are the world's best sound designers. Like, so basically we're just trying to hit a sort of target audience below university level, where you don't need a degree to come into the industry. You don't need to go to a film school. You don't need anything. You need to be keen, want to learn. I think at, say, the age 16, if you've got an interest in music and putting music together, because it's the same principle. You've got music software, you've got audio on tracks, you move things around, and it's all about the interrelationship with those different sounds. And that is exactly the same, theoretically, as our job. So if you're interested in that and just love listening to stuff and audio, then you could absolutely thrive in this industry without going beyond 16 in education. And that's what we're trying to make clear.
And do you know what is interesting? There's a whole debate quite often about whether people should go to university or not. But this is just an alternative option. Also, what's great is that you can get into the career, start your career from a very young age if you follow this route, because by the time, you're in your 20s by the time you've studied, and there's nothing wrong with studying, I advocate it. But there'll be many people who maybe don't want to go down that route, or maybe can't afford to go down that route, correct?
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, some of my closest friends and most successful, like, Oscar nominees, Oscar winners, didn't go to university. Like, they started 16. And the one of the sort of troubles with going to university and then coming into the industry, you always start as a runner. So no matter what you've done, you will start as a runner, because the degree will teach you the theory and the technicality of it, but there's the industry to learn, and you only learn that from watching and
being a part of it.
And being a part of it and seeing how people talk to each other, how the departments interact, who says what, who can say what to who. And just being a runner, it sets you up for life, because if you do those jobs that you've been assigned in a very keen and enthusiastic manner, people will give you all the time in the world. If you make a cup of tea, and it sounds ridiculous, but you're keen to do that, you're keen to do any job in an enthusiastic manner, people will invest their time in you because you want it. And that's all it takes. It's to be hungry and have an enthusiasm and just want to succeed.
And I the other thing, as industry professionals, I don't know about you, I'm guessing it's probably the same, but when I'm in a position where youngsters come in to do internships or whatever it may be, I love, if any of them show enthusiasm and interest and curiosity, I don't mind working extra time or doing extras for them, because I love people who've got curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the only sort of criteria you need to succeed are just being enthusiastic, a willingness to hard work, and an interest in sound. Like, you don't need anything else at all.
During 2020, against the backdrop of the pandemic and various protests, the media industry suddenly made a lot of noise about improving on diversity and inclusion. And we saw various, mushrooming, if you like, of training schemes, entry schemes for people from more diverse backgrounds. Now, off late, that seems to have kind of died down, or it's gone a lot quieter. So I was wondering why, you might think that. And second, I spoke to one of your post-sound fellow colleagues, Emma Butt. And just very quickly, for those who are joining us, if you click on the link above, you'll be able to see Emma's interview. Brilliant interview. She's a highly regarded audio professional. Now, Emma shared with me that she'd undertaken some research to look at diversity within the sound departments of TV and film, and her findings were pretty abysmal. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Why do you think suddenly the noises died down? And also about Emma's findings.
It is a complicated situation. I personally think a lot of it was performative. So I think a lot of facilities going up to kind of the awards system, it is performative. I think until, say, the awards introduce criteria that anyone eligible for the awards, and indeed the government and their tax breaks, to say you will not get a tax break unless you fulfill this criteria and have a third of your full crew, not just in front of the camera, it's people behind the camera, it's the screenwriters, the directors, and then the post crew. Unless you have a third of that, you won't be eligible for a tax break, or you won't be eligible for the BAFTAs or the Oscars, which it is changing with the awards. And that is the only way it's going to change, because it's about people taking risk. And a lot of these productions and jobs are very high pressured. People see it as a risk to go with someone who isn't the person who did it before, who usually fits within the same mold as they do, because people go with familiarity. And I understand that it's about someone who's delivered, and they need to deliver in a very high pressured environment. But I think we need to get beyond that and realize how much better and more productive and stronger and better creative output we'd have with a more diverse industry. But that is only going to come when there's pressure from the people above the kind of productions, as it were. So I think it's died down because it was performative.
Do you know what? I'm inclined to agree with you. I think also these large production companies or media outfits, they could have a more diverse a range of people they refer to in the first instance, instead of just one or two people that they use on the same on new gigs every single time. If they increase that to say 6 people, and even 2 of those were from diverse backgrounds, that could give them more opportunity in case they're not, of availability, but also mix up their diversity quota as well. I just find it bizarre that they limit themselves in many ways, don't you think?
But it's still about risk and delivery, and they're just running as a sort of financial entity and need to protect their profit. So anything which risks that, in their eyes, they veer away from.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's more a mindset, because you have to really look and see, is that fear factor real or not? And that comes from a very particular worldview. Just because you got somebody from a diverse background who may have trained in sound perhaps in a different way or a different environment to somebody in mainstream doesn't mean they're not equally as good or can't do the job. But I get the risk factor, because let's face it, media, bottom line, although it's as creative as it is, it's a business. It's about profit, right?
Absolutely, it is. It's just a massive sort of production company will go, I want a 10% return. And so it is very much just, business and finance and figures.
Yeah. Well, I hope that pressure from top down comes in a stronger way.
I really think it will. I mean, I just read about Amazon this morning, who's rolling out worldwide their sort of diversity blueprint, which is fantastic. And the more companies that do that, the better, and it'll just become normalized.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to do. Things to become normalized.
Yeah.
So with your Post Sound Collective, what difference have you made so far? Like, how many youngsters would you say you would have helped? You know, what difference have you made?
Well, I mean, it's just been an amazing thing to be part of. I think we've had over 150 separate connections, I call them, where people have talked to industry professionals. And bearing in mind, it's a very, very niche world that I work in. That's an amazing result. I think there's probably 7 or 8 people have been employed either as freelancers or full-time within companies through the website. And that was the whole point of it. It was to increase the amount of options that facilities or freelancers had when a role came up, because just to increase the pool of people to choose from.
So this is great. So those are entry level who do connect with you. There is the possibility, no guarantee, but a possibility of paid work or training or something.
Of course there is. Of course there is. And I mean, with facilities, it could end up they're just going for work experience or whatever. But as I say to anyone, either freelancer or facility, if they've got a role come up, the first person they're going to think of is the person who they last saw or the person who impressed them. And if they've seen more people and been impressed by more people who aren't coming from the usual sort of university routes, maybe, then there's just more options for them for that role.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to quickly talk about acceptance. Now, acceptance of a person varies depending on your cultural background. Also, that can be massively challenging for various different reasons. What about those who come from more diverse communities who perhaps are not yet out? So I'm talking about, sexuality, I'm talking about trans, I'm talking about non-binary. They're not out to their family and friends, but they still want to contact you guys at the collective, but want to maintain their privacy. Is that a safe space when they come to you?
It absolutely is. I mean, I can't pretend that I'm an expert in all things. Like, I'm just a sound editor. But what I'd say is that anyone who comes to the website and explains what it is they might be worried about, it would absolutely be respected. Just whatever they need to be said or to be not said, or just whatever, they'd be absolutely welcome. And but they would have to tell us.
Yeah, so they would need to communicate that this is confidential.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, but once they do that, 100% safe.
Brilliant. And if anybody is interested in seeking advice from the collective, how do they go about that exactly? And is there any criteria they need to match?
Well, the criteria is on the front page of the website. It's fairly straightforward. And then there's a contacts page. So basically you look through all the professionals or the facilities in the sort of areas you're interested in, whether it's Foley, music editing, sound design, mixing, whatever, and then press the contact page button and just email in and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I've got an interest in talking to these people. And then I would ask for a few lines about their experience, any software they've used, anything relevant that the professionals can use to help them target their advice. And then I ping those messages off to the professionals, get the say-so back from them, and then put them in touch, and then they go off and have a Zoom, which can lead into various Zooms, regular Zooms, even work experience, and then who knows?
Oh,
It could be a proper mentorship. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And also what I'll do, Steve, is I'll put a link to the website, to your website in the show notes, so that with a little instruction, just as you've just described, so that people know where to contact you and, you know, what criteria they need to provide. Listen, it's been a really interesting talking to you. And I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. And yeah, continue the good work.
Thank you. And it's such an amazing industry. Like, we all just love it so much. Like, we're just geeky nerds who just record stuff and blow things up and record it, and we just want everyone to have that opportunity to love it the same, because we all absolutely love it, and it's such an awesome industry. So yeah, come on in.
Come on in. Great advice. Steve, thank you so much.
Very welcome. Pleasure talking to you.